What's up, guys? This is Jay from Generation Geek, and today we have another comic rundown, and we'll be covering the newest series of the Sentry. As some of you may know by now, the Sentry is my second favorite superhero, only after Blue Marvel, and I'm glad to finally see a story, any story that has a Sentry in it. I'm always down to see it, so let's get into it. As always, if you're new here, please like, share, subscribe, and join the Gen Geek fam. Alright, the story starts with Jessica Jones as she's putting together her Dora alias investigation. She's on the phone with her husband, who is now the mayor of New York City, Luke Cage, and he's with their daughter, Danielle, and the Purple Man, one of the Purple Man's illegitimate kids. And they're sitting there talking about things going on and being a dad, all that good stuff, asking about Joe and his good connection that he has with Danielle Cage. The story continues to go, and Jessica Jones feels an earthquake and she doesn't know where it's coming from. She goes to investigate because now, being the first lady of the city, she feels it's her job to take care of the little people. She gets to the crime scene, and there appears to be this building that's just been completely destroyed. She doesn't know why or where it comes from, so she does, her job. She's a PI. She does some investigating to get some clues, and people tell her about what's going on. They begin to, and then all of a sudden, here comes Misty Knight. Now, some people may be wondering, why is Misty Knight in this story? Well, if you read the last Sentry run, which came out in 2018, Misty Knight was involved in that, and she was kind of, watching over Sentry and always monitoring the things he was doing, whether he would go back to using his powers or not. She gets there, they do some investigation. People tell them that, the building got hit by some laser beams, but then somebody saved them all, and the mystery continues. As they do their investigation, they find the source of the problem to be from a young lady named Mallory Gibbs, who has cerebral palsy. As many of you, if you don't know, cerebral palsy basically doesn't allow you to have full function or control over your body, and your body has a habit of going to spasms, just things that you really can control. So somebody, obviously, with that level of power of the Sentry, just spazzing all the time, it's probably not the worst thing that has happened, considering Sentry's mental state. So for someone that powerful, they have to have a weakness. So I kind of see where they're going with this already. We get to learn a bit about who Mallory is. She seems to be a reporter by day, and she does with TikTok videos by night, but they call it flick flock videos. Kind of funny how they kind of twist some of the things. They also have a thing for DoorDash in here that we'll see later as well. But they kind of see her as a liability, which is funny, to be investigative journalist, to be seen as a liability when you're digging in to corporations and people doing scams. You're always in danger. She gets home with her roommate. Her roommate does her nails so she can get ready for her flick flock videos. During the flick flock videos, she gets her powers, and she completely wrecks her entire building, but not before she sees a vision of the Sentry. And this page comes from the World War Hulk storyline, in which he fought the Hulk in order to calm him down and stop him from destroying the world. So she gets her powers, she destroys the building, laser blasts are blasting everywhere. She goes to the floor, and either is shown she's either moving too fast that she stops, that time seems slow, or she completely has stopped time, and then she continues to use her power to save everyone in the building before it can collapse at obviously faster than light speeds. But because of her cerebral palsy, she fears, having another spasm of power and just destroying, anything that's around her. So she leaves. The investigation continues, and Misty Knight and Jessica Jones meet with her roommate, and they're kind of asking, what happened, with the powers and stuff like that. And now they're considering her a mega level threat after realizing that she's now getting the powers of the Sentry. And they kind of make comments about other people like Ryan Topper, who seems to be the bad guy in the story, and other people getting the powers. And they kind of compare it to Thor, with the hammer, but it's different because they say, Sentry's powers never did that. So it's kind of strange that now his powers are, flip-flopping between people, and everybody seems to kind of be, getting them. And then we meet Farhad Anand. Farhad is actually a mutant, but he's not one of the powerful mutants. He's the mutant that has more of the the aesthetic features. So he has like big feet, big nose, furry face. He's a mutant without the powers. So he's a DoorDash driver, or as they call it in here, DoorDish. He's a DoorDish driver. Farhad is doing his runs and stuff like that. Everybody's treating him weird because obviously he's a mutant. He has these big old boots because his feet are so big, and obviously he has the facial features that also shows that obviously he's not human. So he's already he deals with the racial profile and things like that in that nature. But he seems to have a safe place, which is with his volleyball club or dodgeball club, which happens to be the other couriers that he works with. And they're playing a game, and while they're playing the game, Farhad Sentry powers start to kick in because he's one of the recipients too, and everybody suddenly starts hearing their minds, or either it's not shown, either he's hearing what they're thinking, or he can hear them just whispering, and they say things like, oh, I thought he was one of the non-powered mutants. I didn't know he's one of the dangerous ones, and we should get him. We should take him down. And then Farhad is obviously freaked out by this. From the powers, he destroys the entire gym, and Farhad ends up leaving. But not before he also gets a vision as well of the Sentry ripping Ares in half, as was covered in Siege. So Farhad leaves, and he's running at super speed, and he goes into this open area, and then he meets Ryan Topper. Now, Ryan Topper reminds me of someone called Skylar. If any of you guys remember the show Heroes, they had Claire, they had Peter Petrelli, they had Hero. Skylar was a villain who would use his telekinesis to slice open other people's head, and it was never quite clear how he got it. Either he ate part of their brain that gave him the power, something like that. But anyway, he would take their powers and he would just go and kill other superpower individuals to get their power. And this is what this story is kind of reminding me of. It's kind of a non-mysterious heroes, but obviously they're all fighting over the power of the Sentry. So Farhad realizes that Ryan Topper is power mad and he is a bigot, so they get into a fight in which Farhad seems to be finally using his features, like his big feet and stuff, to help fight back Ryan. But Ryan makes a statement, did your dad teach you how to fight? Because mine did. And he rips off his arm and just completely wrecks Farhad, and assumingly he takes all of Farhad's power, adding it to his own, making himself stronger, as he feels that he should be the only Sentry that there is. So then we pick up with Marilee, who has seemed to flown all the way from New York to the moon, in which she leaves a big crater. She's crying, she's going over herself. She's like, this is the only way that nobody gets hurt. She has cerebral palsy, so she already doesn't feel worthy to have the power, because though she has gained the power of the Sentry, her cerebral palsy hasn't gone away. She still has the spasm and stuff like that, so she just feels like she's a threat and that she's best just to be left alone. But funny thing is, as she lands on the moon, behind her you show all the other people who seem to have also gotten the powers of the Sentry, and one of them just so happens to resemble Steven Yeun, who, as you guys know, is invincible in the Image animated show on Amazon, and also who played Glenn in The Walking Dead. And he just happens to look just like him, an Asian American guy that looks just like him, because he was supposed to be casted for the Thunderbolts movie. We get to see what happens to him in the next story, but as of today, I do believe that Steven Yeun, after receiving the backlash from the Sentry casting, he's decided to step down from that. So we'll see what happens to him in the next story. And alright guys, that's it for my comic rundown of the Sentry issue number 1. Personally, I like I said, I love the Sentry, so I'm biased. I'm not even gonna fake it. My dad always says that I have such this big love for OP characters, and I do, because I feel like the more powerful they are, the better of a storyteller you have to be to make them fit in the story. That's the thing that I do love about Superman or Blue Marvel or the Sentry, is that you do have characters that are this powerful. So either you have to make somebody even more powerful that they have to fight, or you have to tell a good enough story to why they are in this book, and you can't be lazy about it. So I feel like it's always a challenge, to the writers when it comes to stories like this. But yeah, I'll be covering this entire storyline, guys, as well as others. If you guys have any recommendations on what you would like to see us cover, leave them in the description below, leave them in the comments, or you can email us at gengeekfan@gmail.com. We'll love to look at whatever you guys, whether it's indie, mainstream, whatever it is. We love reading it all. So yeah, that's all I got for today, guys. I've been Jay from Generation Geek. Y'all be blessed, and peace.